Hey everybody, it's GauntletX, and today is the release of Jumpstart Historic Horizons. If you haven't played Jumpstart before, it is the format where you get to take two themed decks, 20 card themed decks, mash them together, and get some games with them. So you could have a deck such as Cats and Dogs, you could have a deck such as, I'm guessing like Pirates and Energy here, just a bunch of different options of just fun, different themes that you could open up. So Jumpstart Historic Horizons is special where it's bringing a ton of new cards to the Historic format and to Historic Brawl on Arena. We're getting a bunch of cards from Modern Horizons and Modern Horizons 2. These were sets that were designed for modern play, so there's a bunch of very powerful cards and very unique cards within Jumpstart here. And we're getting a few cards that are completely exclusive to Arena, cards that will only work on the digital client. There are 3 new mechanics in the set. Conjure, which will add a card to your hand. It will just pop one in there out of thin air. There's Seek, which will search for a card at random from your deck that fits that criteria. So like seek a non-land card would be draw a non-land card at random from your deck. And there is Perpetual, or Perpetually. These cards will affect some kind of creature for the rest of the game. So you could have a card that says, when you cast this, a creature in your hand perpetually gains +2/+2. That would mean when you play this creature onto the board, all of a sudden, one of your creatures in your hand, instead of being a 2/2, is going to be a 4/4 whenever you cast it, no matter how long it takes for you to end up casting that card. So these are all things that are exclusive to digital, wouldn't work in paper. So there are a lot of interesting things going on with this format, and with that entire intro out of the way, I am going to go ahead and jump in and get my first Jumpstart Historic Horizons deck built today. So we have Modular, Animated, and Davriel as our first options. Cannot really pass up on getting the brand new Arena exclusive Planeswalker here, but I am a huge fan of artifacts, and Jumpstart Historic Horizons is a little different from the first Jumpstart in that this is the first Jumpstart where there are multicolored themed decks as well. As you can see, Modular is a red and white deck, so you could end up with some unique multicolored packets here, whereas the first Jumpstart was basically just monocolored or the one 5-color themed deck. But with that being said, we're going to take that brand new fancy Planeswalker there, Davriel Soulbroker. And now we have Freyalise, Munitions Expert, and Merfolk. Or I guess Freyalise, Goblin Fodder, and Merfolk. Yeah, these are all fantastic cards that they're showing us here. A mythic rare Freyalise Planeswalker, a mythic rare Merfolk there, and just a really, really nice Goblins card that could be great in Historic as well. Well, we could start with a double Planeswalker deck. Not only are we getting 2 Planeswalkers here, we're getting 2 brand new Arena exclusive Planeswalkers. Really, really can't resist that. We're going to make a Davriel Freyalise deck today and see how it works. So the way I like to play Jumpstart is to just grab those packets and hop in. The event is 2,000 gold or 400 gems, and you play absolutely as much as you want to your heart's content. So it's a super casual format. It does not matter how many times you lose. You could lose 12 games and win 2 games, and you'll get the same amount of prizes as if you went 2-0 and just won your first 2 games. So because of that, I'm not super worried about knowing everything that's in my deck and playing super well here. So I usually like to look at my deck lists after I've played until I got my 2 wins to keep things spicy, keep things surprising for me during the gameplay. So we'll see what we have here. Looks like another brand new card, Subversive Acolyte. Pay 2 life, choose 1, activate only once. Let's see, becomes a +1/+2 cleric with lifelink, and then becomes a Phyrexian with +3/+3 trample. Really interesting card. Alright, I'm going to keep this hand. Got a nice little Burglar Rat reprint. Each opponent discards a card when you play it. Snakeskin Veil from Call Time, giving one of our cards Hexproof. And Sky Shroud Ambush. That might be a new card as well, at least new to Arena. Target creature you control fights target creature you don't control, and when the creature you control wins the fight, you draw a card. I believe that is new. So our opponent starts with a Raving Visionary. This is a card from one of the Modern Horizons sets. It's a 2-mana 1/1. It has a looting effect, spending 1 blue mana to tap it, draw a card, and discard a card. And then if there are 4 or more card types from among cards in your graveyard, you can use that Delirium effect to just straight up draw a card for 3 when you tap it. Really nice value card there. And a Lazotep Chancellor. Whenever they discard a card, they can pay 1 to amass 2. Another Modern Horizons card there. It's a really cool stuff. Let's see. Kind of like just dropping down this Subversive Acolyte. This can get pretty big pretty fast. And I believe we can use this ability at instant speed, so we can just turn it into a 3/4 lifelink here real quick. And then once it is a 3/4 lifelink, we could have it fight one of our opponent's creatures and draw a card off of it at instant speed, which is really good. Go ahead and get rid of that Lazotep Chancellor before they amass too much of an army here. So I'm not super familiar with all of the deck themes in this Jumpstart format, although I will... Oh, Bone Shards, sacrifice a creature, discard a card to destroy a creature, Planeswalker. They just discard a card to kill the Acolyte here. I guess I'll Snakeskin Veil, but that means I'm not making it bigger this turn. So we'll give it Hexproof to kind of counter that. But I'm not familiar with all of the packets that are available this time around because there are a ton of them. But I will have a link in the description below to the deck list for all of the different Historic Horizons packets, so that when you play Historic Horizons yourself, if you're trying to collect specific cards for Historic or Historic Brawl, you'll know what is available in the different themes, so you know what you could potentially get there. So I definitely like getting rid of that 4/4 army, but I also really like getting rid of the Lazotep Chancellor, because if I just get rid of the army, they're just going to rebuild it and make it quite large anyway. So I'm going to go ahead and make this a 4/5 lifelink, and then just while they're tapped out, while I know they don't have any responses, gonna get rid of that Chancellor, because that thing's just such a huge problem here. And we draw a card there as well, which is great. That being said, I'm not going to attack in now, because my Acolyte has been dealt damage this turn. Maybe you should have attacked and then done the fight spell post-combat. It's possible I get some lifelink damage in that way. And unfortunately, a Murderous Rider in one of their themed packets there. Murderous Rider, a fantastic card from Eldraine. Both a removal spell and a lifelinking creature, all in one. So Raving Visionary getting tapped here. They're drawing a card and discarding a card. Just setting up their future turns. They've got 1 card in hand plus that 2/3 lifelinker. But we've got a 5/5 to put on board here. That should be the biggest creature on the board. Definitely outclasses their 4/4 zombie army. So hopefully, and a Gormand as the draw. Well, once we cast a Gormand, we're not going to need this Paradise Druid anymore, because everything else in our hand is 5 mana or less, very castable. Kind of like slamming down this Gormand, we get rid of their looting card here, their card that can draw and discard, or their 4/4. Wouldn't be incredibly surprised if they sacrifice the 4/4 instead, because they're pretty close to hitting Delirium, where they could just draw a card every turn off the Visionary. But it looks like they will sacrifice the Visionary, make sure they get to keep their big old 4/4 creature out here. But yeah, they did have an instant, a creature, a sorcery, and a land in graveyard, so they could just start drawing a card every turn had they left the Visionary out. But it looks like they prefer to stay aggressive here with a big creature to attack us with. And Carful Kennelmaster would explain that as their card in hand there. Gonna give it +1/+0 and indestructible this turn, so they're attacking with a 5/4 that can't die, so we don't have any good blocks. But now we are very safe to just play a 5/5 that outclasses the 4/4s on blocks, and now we'll just keep hitting them for 5 damage a turn in the sky with our gigantic Gormand here. So there's the Murderous Rider, 2/3 lifelinker, and a Shambling Goblin as the follow-up, a 1/1 that gives -1/-1 until end of turn when it dies. Pretty insignificant, but it can kill one of these 2 1/1s we have in hand. I'm going to play the Skyshroud Lookout. This is one of the new mechanics here. We're going to seek an elf card, so we draw an elf card at random from our deck. And the Gear Per Guide is the draw. Nice little 3/2 that can make something unblockable by small creatures till the end of turn. make one of your creatures unable to be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less for a turn. And I'm going to hold on to the Burglar Rat here just in case our opponent draws a card and then doesn't end up playing it. I highly doubt that'll happen, but getting another 1/1 on this board seems pretty insignificant right now. They're already not attacking us because they can't attack into a 5/5 with a bunch of 4/4s and smaller. And it looks like that is the concession from them. We hit them for 5 damage this turn with the Gourmand, and then we will finish them off the turn after this. So we close things out in a couple turns there so they see the writing on the wall. So game 1 is a victory for us. However, we haven't drawn either of our 2 Planeswalkers yet, and I would love to play with them. Oh, and the first 2 wins you get in the format, you do get an extra rare or mythic rare from the set, which is really good because there are so many cards in the set. It is quite difficult to collect all of the different rares and mythics. So really nice to be able to get 2 additional rares and mythics for your wins in the round. So Nether Spirit is our first additional rare here. 3 mana for a 2/2 at the beginning of your upkeep. If it is the only creature in your graveyard, you may return it to the battlefield. Whew, that seems like a really annoying card in Limited for sure. It might be an interesting sort of build around in Constructed as well. That is just kind of an infinite blocker there if you can keep your graveyard clear of other creatures. So here we are in round 2. Well, we didn't draw the mythic rare Davriel, but it does look like the Davriel deck has the uncommon Davriel for more of the spark as well. So we will be casting a Planeswalker this game, if nothing else. This one is going to shred their hand a little bit, make them discard multiple cards, and eventually they will start taking extra damage as well, if their hand size is small enough. So they're playing against blue-red, and looks like they got a deck focused around the kind of drawing a second card each turn theme from Eldraine. So Improbable Alliance here is going to spit out a 1/1 flyer every time they've drawn a second card during their turn. And the Mantle of Tides is going to attach to something when they've drawn a second card. So now this Fire Prophecy gets to kill my Llanowar Elves and draw them an additional card. So they get to create a 1/1 flyer and throw Mantle of Tides onto it. Although I suppose, since they didn't have the 1/1 flyer until this ability resolved, the Mantle of Tides had nothing to attach to, so it did not quite work out as well as they could have hoped. Because they do have a creature here, I'm not really going to slam down Davriel, because Davriel is going to get killed pretty quickly. I'll just slam down a Manor Guardian. A 4/3 for only 3 mana. This is one of the brand new exclusive to Arena cards, and when it dies, each player seeks a non-land card with mana value 2 or less. So both players are going to get a little bit of card draw off of this, which is pretty cool. And there is a Loch Dragon, a Loch Dragon, however you want to pronounce it. Whenever it enters the battlefield or attacks, they discard a card to draw a card, so that keeps them fueled, keeps them creating more 1/1 flyers with Improbable Alliance there, and keeps them drawing the 2 cards per turn. Well, we can make them discard their whole hand here with a Reaper of Night, making target opponent discard 2. Pretty big fan of that here, although we are going to be taking some hits in the sky in retaliation. Ooh, they did have a Madness card in hand, but they did not have the mana to pay that Madness cost. Madness is a mechanic where when you discard it, you can spend the Madness cost instead of the full cost to cast it. Fiery Temper is one that does 3 damage to any target. So if you discard it, you get to spend it for the cost of a Lightning Bolt instead of the full 3 mana, which is really good. Our opponent does not have a mana up here, though, so they don't get to cast the Fiery Temper, which is definitely good for us. But yeah, it looks like every card they've played so far could very much be from the same just like blue-red card draw deck. So I'm really interested to know what 2 packets they got. Maybe they got 2 decks that just work really well together, or maybe we've only seen cards from the sort of draw 2 deck. But Fiery Temper, even though it doesn't have anything to do with drawing cards, it's I think our opponent's having some issues here attempting to cast it for the Madness cost without any mana up. Which is It's pretty weird. Okay, there it goes. I lost my train of thought from that because that was really weird that it came out of exile onto the stack without the mana to cast it a few times. I was getting really worried. Worried for the sake of my Manor Guardian. So I have completely lost my train of thought there. But yeah, I was going to say all these Madness cards, they would work well with the kind of discard a card, draw a card, or draw a card, discard a card stuff they have in the draw deck. So maybe they do have a Madness packet and a card draw packet, and they just happen to work really well together. Well, I still don't have any flyers, so I'm kind of just going to get shredded by this Improbable Alliance here. I suppose I can play Morrowind and Song of Freyalise. I could play Davriel and discard their one card in hand here. I guess. Davriel, Song of Freyalise. Davriel will deal some extra damage to them as well, since their hand is quite low. There's no reason not to attack them for a turn, because we cannot block any of these flyers. Taking 7 damage here, and they are going to get another 1/1 flyer, as they do every turn with the Loke Dragon. We're dead in one more turn in the sky if we can't find a way to block or kill one of these cards. We do have Davriel's Withering now to give one of their creatures -1/-2 perpetually, so we can kill that dragon, but then we take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 still. We are still exactly dead. So I think we have to cast a Gormand here, which means we have to tap the Manor Guardian and sacrifice it here. But it is going to get them to sacrifice one of their creatures, plus we can block one. So they sacrifice a 1/1 here, we block the dragon, and yeah, with that, we'll be taking 1, 2, 3, 4 damage total. We kind of have to hope that Davriel chipping away at them will somehow get us lethal eventually. But the fact that Manor Guardian's going to give them another card in hand is a little scary for us here. They could definitely find like a cheap way to bounce our Gormand, or just another flying creature, something like that would be very threatening to us. But I expect they sacrifice a 1/1 and then we'll block the 3/2. Take 4 damage, go to 1 life here. I suppose if they attack us with everybody here, we're really close to getting lethal if we don't die this turn. Because Song of Freyalise is about to pop off. We're going to get a +1/+1 counter on everything, Vigilance, Trample, Indestructible, which means this will be a 6/6 flyer. With Trample, so we attack in with Vigilance, put them down to 3, and then Davriel does 2 more damage, put them to 1 life. If they don't save a blocker, if they do save a blocker, they can chump block there, but because of Trample from Song of Freyalise, well, and Gormand, we'll still deal enough damage to put them to 2 life. So there are probably some cards we could top deck to win the game here, but we're going to need to draw really well off the top. So fingers crossed, see what we have. Freyalise is a great card. I don't think Freyalise gives us any extra damage this turn, though. We get to seek an elf card, untap an elf, and give it +1/+1. Neither of those help here. What about Subversive Acolyte? No haste here. Davriel's Withering. Well, we can get rid of their 1 blocker. Morrowind. Yeah, we cannot quite get there. Cannot quite get there. But we can put them to 1 life here. We can kill the fairy token, attack for 6, and deal 2 more damage with Davriel. Yeah. Not quite enough. I guess I could cast Subversive Acolyte, and then potentially, if they attack with their creature on the ground, I can turn this into a lifelinker and block. So now they could misplay. Now they could misplay, and potentially we survive if they do. And I will hold on to the Withering, because I'm pretty sure they're going to go for the chump block here, and they did. And now by holding on to the Withering, I get rid of 2 of the flying things, so I just take 1. Which, I mean, taking 1 damage puts me to 0, but if they attack with something on the ground here, I survive, and I very much survive. Ooh, alright, Davriel's Withering. We get to kill 1 fairy token. We get to block the big fairy. Oh, we have to pay 2 life to use this ability. Never mind. Reading the card explains the card, and I did not realize there's a 2 life payment involved in the contract. Well, there was no way to survive here then, but we got quite close, putting them down to 2 life. If we had 1 more turn with Davriel dealing some damage to them, Davriel would have closed that out for us. But just too many fairies off of the Improbable Alliance for our opponent, so 1-1 to start things off, heading into the 3rd game with Davriel and Freyalise. Playing against Gucci Bear in this round. Alright, this hand's great. Love having a murder, love having some cheap removal spells in hand, especially at instant speed. We have that Manor Guardian, which is just huge for its mana cost. That Gourmand has always been great late game. And the Paradise Druid to ramp it out. Paradise Druid into Gourmand has been one of the better things this deck can do, because by the time we have the 6 mana, we don't need the extra mana off the Paradise Druid anymore, so it's just a really easy creature to sacrifice to the Gourmand. So turn 2, let's get this Paradise Druid on the board, tapping for some mana. We're also curving out pretty aggressively, just a 2 mana 2/1 into a 3 mana 4/3. Our opponent starts up with a Thraben Inspector. Enters the battlefield, it will investigate, which means they can get a clue token that will sacrifice later in the game for some amount of card draw, just 1 draw. Not going to attack with the Paradise Druid here, because I don't really want to trade it into the Inspector. They do have a Pacifism to throw on the Manor Guardian. Well, now I guess I'll be sacrificing the Manor Guardian to the Gourmand instead of anything else. We do have Subversive Acolyte here, or the Sky Shroud Lookout, so we could go wide here with multiple elf cards, or we could just make one big Acolyte here. I think I'd rather make a big Acolyte. Nice 3/4 lifelink. Our opponent's board's pretty small, a couple 1/2s here. The Steward is going to make us discard a card. That actually is a bit painful here, since we don't have any completely irrelevant cards in hand. It looks like the black part of their deck is probably just some kind of discard deck, which is not great for us. So we have to discard Murder or Gourmand or Sky Shroud Lookout. I guess seeing the Liliana Stewart, I probably should have guessed they were going to have a lot of discard in hand, and so maybe it would have been better to cast the Sky Shroud Lookout there rather than the Subversive Acolyte, just so I'd have extra cards in hand to discard. Like maybe I'd draw a pretty weak elf there to discard. But there was no way I was just going to end up with some kind of land or something to discard. And there's Liliana Stewart just popping off as well, forcing another discard here. Would I rather kill the Fel Spectre directly or have a 5/5 flying trample? I kind of think I can just outclass their creatures in terms of size. They just have 1/2s and 1/3s right now. So I kind of just like discarding the removal here and planning to make my field larger than theirs. There's an Elderleaf Mentor as the draw. If I cast it here and they have another discard card, then I'll just have to discard Gourmand. But if I don't cast it here, they could have like a Mind Rot to make me discard 2 cards. I think I'm just going to cast it here. They might force me to discard the Gourmand, which would be a sad time, but a 3/2 can get on this board, get attacking, and help out that way. And yeah, they do have a discard 2 cards spell there, so would have panned out very poorly to keep that Elderleaf Mentor in hand. Burglar Rat is our draw, so we're going to crack right back at them with some discard of our own. A little bit of revenge here. Versus Acolyte becomes a 6/7 Phyrexian with Trample, and when it's dealt damage, sacrifice that many permanents. So when it's dealt damage, so only 1 permanent total, we definitely are going to level up our Acolyte again, whether or not they block. Oh, you activate only once. So you can't use both abilities. Okay. This card's very confusing to me. Maybe I just have a small smooth brain here. Okay, I thought it was that you could only use each ability once. You can only use this ability one time. So you choose if it's a 3/4 lifelink or a 5/5 trample. And that is it. Either way, they did murder it there, so wasn't going to do anything more for us. Well, we'll play this Swamp, because if we do hit a 6-mana card, it's going to be important to be able to actually cast it. And it might not be possible to do that if we just hold the Swamp in hand, because if we hold the Swamp in hand, they could end up just playing another discard card, making us discard the Swamp, and then we could draw into the 6-mana card like Gormand and be very sad. So there's a Davriel.
I do hope this mask is
That's a problem. Davriel's gonna sit there shredding our life total here.
Not really.
Here's a Marwyn the Nurturer from the Freyalise deck. Not bad, but the only attacker I have here is Elderleaf Mentor. I kind of have to kill Davriel here, because Davriel will shred me. They do go for the single block. Okay. If they went for the double block, I'd be pretty happy, so I could kill the Fel Spectre. What is this? Just a 2-mana 1/4? Just a 2-mana 1/4 since I don't have any cards in hand. Alright, but now they can double block the Mentor. That would still just be a trade for this Fel Spectre, so I'm fine with it. They can single block the Elderleaf Mentor as well, which is an issue. There's a Fel Spectre of our own now, so we can block their Fel Spectre. Assuming their black deck is also Davriel, because it looks like some similar cards. Yeah, so we lose one of our 1/1s. I guess we lose our 2/1 here if I attack like this, so if I don't attack there, then they block a 1/1 and Davriel dies. If they block the Elderleaf Mentor, Davriel still dies. So this way we get to kill Davriel, play a flyer to block their flyer. Yeah, seems like a pretty great attack all around. They are going to kill Marwyn the Nurturer, but that's fine. Marwyn was our best 1/1 since she could get +1/+1 counters and become stronger later in the game. But she's still a 1/1 on this board. So not the end of the world to lose her. And we definitely didn't need the mana from her tap ability. Oh no, they drew into their Davriel.
Don't bother me, or else.
Whenever an opponent attacks you, they discard a card, and if they can't, they sacrifice an attacking creature. Good lord. Alright. Well, this is a bad time. We'll cycle our Tranquil Thicket here. Of course, cycling cards is going to make us lose life to the Fel Spectre as well. Possible we're supposed to hold on to that land to discard to Davriel's ability there, but can't even attack into it well here anyway. They block there, block there. I could attack with absolutely everybody and deal 4 maybe, but I'd have to sacrifice 4 cards. Or no, I guess I'd only have to sacrifice 1 card, so I just sacrifice the Guardian there. Ooh. Song of Freyalise here. Eventually going to give our whole field a +1/+1 counter, Vigilance, Trample, Indestructible, but it might be too late by then. Our opponent has played a Scour the Desert here, creating some 1/1 flyers.
Make smart decisions, shall we?
So they're going pretty wide here, and Davriel's going to sit here trying to find a way to close out this game. I will hold on to the land this time, and I'll probably be going for a big attack next turn because our field will be indestructible. So we attack with everybody, sacrifice the Guardian to Davriel's ability rather than discard the Swamp. I guess that'll give our opponent a card draw as well, but it's all even. We'll get the card draw too, and we'll get to cast the 2-mana card immediately. All right. I really hope I didn't misread Davriel here. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They have 9 toughness. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 power. 13 minus 9 is 4. We can do 4 damage wherever we choose. So we can put them to 6, or we can hit Davriel for 4. We just try to hit Davriel for 4. I guess we have to discard a card unless we can't. Oh, and they sacrifice an attacking creature, so it would force us to sacrifice something relevant. Davriel's pretty solid here. These new Jumpstart cards are pretty complex, too. I love that we're just randomly draining each other whenever we try to cycle a card. Oh, they're just going to let Davriel go right into the graveyard.
No more favors from me.
I will take it. And our field is permanently bigger. Those are +1/+1 counters, so we're looking pretty here. And our opponent scoops up the game. All right. Was not expecting the turnaround there. Was really scared of the Davriel, but they didn't have great blocks because everything was indestructible, plus large enough to kill most of what they would have blocked with. So they just let the Davriel die and then draw a card there. Probably just flooded on lands there. So their little 1-power creatures are just not big enough to stop this whole onslaught of creatures attacking them throughout the next few turns. So they scoop them up there, and that will be our 2 wins. All of the rewards we can get out of this Jumpstart Historic Horizons run. I had a pretty great time here, and our deck is absolutely sweet. We've got some really fun cards for Historic here. As you can see, just out of the stuff that we've drawn, I've seen some great stuff. I think we saw pretty much the whole decks, but I do like to double check and see what cards I didn't get to see at the end of each of these Jumpstart runs. But it looks like I pretty much saw everything. Everything cool, that is. Yeah, a few other commons we didn't see, like Wildheart Invoker, a nice elf riding a dinosaur, giving things trample, which is pretty cool, and a Drainpipe Vermin, just another little discard Davriel card there. But yeah, really, really sweet deck here. Getting both Davriel Soulbroker and Freyalise Sky Shroud Partisan to play around with in Historic. So super cool stuff today, but that is going to end the Jumpstart run. Let's see what we get as our second rare. We get a Brea's Apprentice, a nice artifact creature from Historic Horizons, and I have I have finished the event at the perfect time because somebody's deciding to do a bunch of lawn work right now, so great time to end the recording session. But anyways, thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you'd like to let the YouTube algorithm know that you've enjoyed the video and want to see more. You could catch me live sometimes on twitch.tv/GauntletX, the description below, or just stick around on the channel. I do these videos quite frequently, and I will see you all again very soon for some more Magic Arena. Thank you.